Shalom family and welcome once again to Just a Word Shorts. And today we are here for another video based on a question that was asked by someone on our website. It's a Hebrew asking about the Gentile salvation. We are going to read the question that the person actually posed. And the question was, the definition of salvation is preservation or deliverance from harm, ruin or loss. My question is, can you teach that the other nations will receive salvation when the Most High Yah said that Yahudah will possess the remnant of the Gentiles? Will it truly be salvation, knowing the definition of salvation? I love your work, but I am truly confused by your teaching on this. The Most High Yah's word shall not return void. Please explain. Thank you. Shalom. And of course, this already we see tainted by the Hebrew Israelite teaching of salvation only for Israelites. And let me just start by saying that Yahuwah's ways are not our ways. This is what we do. We create doctrines. And this Israelite only doctrine, it came out of the One West camps, I think. Came out of the One West camps. Only Israelites shall be saved. And this is not so. We're going to show this today, definitively today. Only hope you have enough time to pack in all things. This was very difficult for me to try to pack in everything that we had in one small package for one of these short videos. So Yahuwah said, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith Yahuwah. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So we cannot impose our ways on the Most High. So the person spoke about the definition for salvation, but salvation is broader than just preservation or deliverance from harm, ruin, or loss. That sounds like it might be coming from a dictionary. But there are at least two meanings of salvation in the scripture, Yeshua and Teshua. Let's look at the meaning of Yeshua, something saved. That is abstractly deliverance. Anyone can be delivered from anything. Hence aid, victory, prosperity, deliverance, health, help, helping, salvation, save, saving, health, welfare. So we see it can be a whole lot of things. And the meaning from Teshua, it means rescue, literally or figuratively, personal, national, or spiritual. So it can be a spiritual salvation and national salvation, like the salvation of Yasharal. It can be personal, and it can be for the nation. It can be deliverance, help, safety, salvation, victory. So as we have spoken before, redemption is for Yasharal because Yasharal was sold into captivity, but salvation is for everyone. It's for Yasharal, yes, but other nations can partake of salvation, of being delivered from sin, delivered from themselves. All right? So let us begin that our ways are not Yahuwah's ways. Let us see Yahuwah's ways as described in the Tributary law. In the Tributary law, Deuteronomy 20 verse 10, the Most High laid out what happens when we go to war. Now, the Gentiles, the nations, they are our enemies. So we are literally at war with them. Yahusha is coming back to destroy the wicked. He is at war with them. Remember, in Isaiah 9 verse 6, the Messiah was described as the Prince of Peace. So, the Messiah was sent to declare peace to the nations. That is why he said to the disciples, go into all nations. A lot of people don't understand this. What we're going to tell you people, a lot of little nitty-gritties people don't understand. The Hebrew Israelites don't understand nor accept. All right? So Yahusha, the Prince of Peace, came and he said to his disciples, to the apostles, go into all nations and proclaim this good news unto them. That is him declaring what? Peace. Because the tributary law says, when thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. This is what the Messiah has done to the Gentiles. The word has gone out, and that is why it is a dangerous when we do not speak the gospel, the good news to the Gentiles. We have to let them know, okay? To let them choose whether or not they are going to choose peace or they are going to be destroyed. Very simple. And it shall be, if it make thee answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. This is the salvation of the Gentiles. They will be saved from destruction. And then it went on to tell you, if they don't make an answer of peace, then you shall destroy everyone. Destroy all the males and then save the females. But then we have another teaching that goes into detail on that. Don't want to go into that. But it's a destruction for the place, right? So they are being saved from the destruction that is coming. And their salvation is to serve us, be tributaries unto us. So when the Prince of Peace comes, if they accept the Prince of Peace and they accept peace and they are joined unto us, that is why we tell the Gentiles, you are doing a great disservice. You are committing spiritual suicide when you are attacking the Israelites, cursing them that it doesn't matter who you are saved and you're grafted in and you're that. Yeah? You have to have peace. Peace. So when they make peace with us, then they will be tributaries to us and they will serve us. This is the law. Nothing has changed. There is nothing new. This is the law that governs the servitude of the Gentiles. Now, the men of Gibeon, they did a similar thing in the book of Joshua, chapter 9. They heard how the children of Israel tore down Ai and Jericho, and they were afraid of them. So they tricked them into making them make peace with them. Now, after that, the men found out, but these are Hamites. Yeah, they tricked us. And what happened? They were made to serve us, just the same. Look at it. Joshua 9:20. This we will do to them. These are the Israelites now speaking when they realized that they had been tricked. This we will do to them. We will even let them live, lest wrath be upon us because of the oath which we swear unto them. So, because they accepted the Prince of Peace, if we reject them, wrath is going to be upon us. Simple. And the princes said unto them, let them live, but let them be hewers of wood and drawers of water unto all the congregation, as the princes had promised them. These are the Gentiles. They will live, but they will be hewers of wood and drawers of water. They will serve us. So the Hebrew Israelite doctrine of Gentiles being Israelite is wrong. This is what we're going to look at next. All right? The Hebrew Israelite doctrine of Gentiles being Israelite is wrong. Isaiah 11:12 says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Yasharal, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Look at that carefully. An ensign for the nations, an ensign, a banner for the Gentiles. One set of people. And shall assemble the outcasts of Yasharal, that is the northern kingdom, the house of Israel. Bam, that is half of Israel. The other half, gather together the dispersed of Judah. Bam. Dispersed of Judah and the outcasts of Israel, that's the whole house of Israel, all 12 tribes. So what are the nations doing there? It's all 12 tribes, plus a remnant from the nations as well. Hebrew Israelite doctrine, wrong. Verse 13, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. What we are saying here, to show again that the Hebrew Israelite doctrine is wrong, they are saying whenever you see Gentiles in the New Testament, it is speaking about Israelites. Wrong. This broke up nations, Israel and Judah. Yes? Not only that, it is telling us that it is prophesied in the end that all Israel will come back together. Now, in the New Testament, there were shock among people when they realized that the Gentiles were given salvation. If the Israelites knew all of these prophecies, and they knew all of these prophecies, they were waiting on the Messiah, they knew the prophecies that the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom would get back together. Why would they be surprised when Gentiles receive salvation? If these Gentiles are Israelites, that is a fallacy. So Israelites knew long ago that all 12 tribes would be gathered. Here's another example. Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, northern kingdom, and with the house of Judah, southern kingdom. Northern kingdom plus southern kingdom is the 12 tribes of Yasharal. They knew that the 12 tribes would be called. So in the New Testament, when the Gentiles are called and they were against it, they wouldn't be against their own people. They knew that it was prophesied to happen. Hebrew Israelites, false doctrine people. It's a false doctrine. So if Israelites were the Gentiles, according to Hebrew Israelites, why would they be surprised that Gentiles received salvation in the book of Acts chapter 10? Acts chapter 10, and we will go to verse 34. Notice what it says, Gentiles hear the good news. And then the next one says, Ruach HaKadosh falls on the Gentiles. While Peter yet spake these words, Ruach HaKadosh fell on all them which heard the word. And they of the circumcision, the Jews, which believed, were astonished, as many as came with Peter, because that on the Gentiles also was poured out the gift of Ruach HaKadosh. If they knew that it was prophesied that their fellow Israelites would be joined together with them, why would they be astonished when the Gentiles receive Ruach HaKadosh? The truth is, they were astonished because these Gentiles were not Israelites. They were from the other nations. And why do you receive Ruach HaKadosh? It is a seal. It is the seal of Yahushua HaMashiach, the seal of salvation. Let's go to verse 46. For they heard them speak with tongues and magnify Alua. Then answered Kepha, Can any man forbid water that these should not be baptized which have received Ruach HaKadosh as well as we? They were surprised. Why would they be surprised that they received Ruach HaKadosh and a fellow Israelite from another tribe received it? Why would they be shocked? And he commanded them to be baptized in the name of the Master. Then prayed they him to tarry certain days. Okay? False doctrine. We're going to go more deeper into that. Please don't leave this. There are a lot of goodies, a lot of interesting things to see. Now, we have to be very careful, because if these Gentiles are non-Israelites and we are preventing the non-Israelites from receiving the word, we are going to be in trouble. I do not see any warning against preaching the word to everyone. But I see this warning here in Thessalonians that if we prevent the Gentiles from receiving the good news, then the Most High's wrath is going to come upon us to the fullest. All right? Y'all need to stop this foolishness. 1 Thessalonians 2 verse 14. For we, brethren, became followers of the assemblies of Alua, which in Judea are in Hamashiach Yahusha. For ye also have suffered like things of your own countrymen, even as they have of the Jews, who both killed the Master Yahusha and their own prophets, and have persecuted us. And they please not Alua, and are contrary to all men. When you fight against the Gentile salvation, it says you are contrary to all men. And what did they do? Forbidding us to speak to the Gentiles that they might be saved. This is what Hebrew Israelites do. This is them right here. Forbidding us to speak to the Gentiles that they might be saved, to fill up their sins alway. For the wrath is come upon them to the uttermost. The Most High's wrath is full on them for trying to prevent the Gentiles from receiving salvation. Your ways are not Yahuwah's ways. Neither Yahuwah's ways, your ways. You have to learn his ways. So if we prevent Gentiles from receiving salvation, Yahuwah's wrath will be full on us. We have to be careful. Salvation to the Gentiles. Isaiah 49 verse 6, another prophecy of salvation to the Gentiles. We have to be very careful. It is very plain. Please continue watching because there are a lot of goodies, a lot of insights that you will get. And you will, I am almost sure when you're finished with this, you will never have a doubt again that Gentiles will have salvation. Isaiah 49 6. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob. How many tribes does Jacob have? 12. And for emphasis, and to restore the preserved of Israel. 12 tribes. Israel and Jacob are the same. But in addition, I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles. So who are the Hebrew Israelites saying these Gentiles are? Because we just dealt with the 12 tribes right here. And they are saying when you see Gentiles, it's speaking about Israelites. So who are these Gentiles? These are people from the other nation. That thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. So when it says to preach the gospel to all over the earth, it's speaking to in every nation. So his salvation is going to reach every nation. These are the Gentiles from the other nations. Yes? Notice he said in verse 7, thus said Yahuwah, the Redeemer of Yasharal, and his Holy One, to him whom man despiseth, to him whom the nation abhorreth, to a servant of rulers, kings shall see and arise. Princes also shall worship because of Yahuwah that is faithful, and the Holy One of Yasharal, and he shall choose thee. So through Yasharal, the other nations, the kings of the other nations are going to worship Yahuwah. That's what it's talking about. Come on, people. Even the Messiah. Even the Messiah. Let me go. Romans 10, 19 to 21. Let me go some more. Romans 10, 19 to 21. Only hope we can finish this fast enough. But I say, did not Yasharal know? First Moses said, I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people, and by a foolish nation I will anger you. These are the Gentiles. And that's what's happening today. We are being provoked by the Gentiles who are receiving salvation, and we are angry that we alone should get salvation. But Isaiah is very bold and said, I was found of them that sought me not, Gentiles. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me. But to Israel, he said. You see the contrast? These people here are not Israelites. Here, to Israel he said, all day long I have stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. That is Israel, and these are the Gentiles. Salvation is for Gentiles as well. Romans 11, verse 11. Romans 11, verse 11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Allah forbid, but rather through their fall, Israel, salvation is come unto the Gentiles for to provoke them to jealousy. That's what's happening to us. Salvation has come upon the other nations to provoke us to jealousy because we strayed away from the Most High and we strayed away from Him. Now we are coming back to Him. We are saying, oh, He's only for us. No, you cannot partake of it. No, that's not so. That is a fallacy. Gentile salvation promised from the Messiah. Matthew 8, verses 10 to 13. This, I believe, was when a Gentile received salvation, and Hamashiach made a particular declaration. When he saw or heard the faith of this Gentile, Yahusha said, when Yahusha heard it, he marveled and said to them that followed, verily I say unto you, I have not found so great, no, not in Israel. Not among Israelites have I found such faith. Notice now, he's going to tell us what is going to happen. And this is what is happening, and this is what we don't like as Israelites. And I say unto you, that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of Shamayim. But the children of the kingdom, the Israelites, shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yes? And Yahusha said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it unto thee. And his servant was healed in the same hour. So many shall come and sit with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but our people will be cast out into outer darkness. This is the Gentile salvation that he is talking about. So salvation now means delivered from sins as well, or it can be delivered from this evil world. Because the person was asking, how can this be salvation? Isaiah 38:17. Behold, for peace I had great bitterness, but thou hast in love to my soul delivered it from the pit of corruption. For thou hast cast all my sins behind thy back. Deliverance from sins, that is salvation, that the Gentiles, the nations, have access to. Now we can be delivered from this evil world. We don't, because the Hebrew Israelites teach salvation is delivered from your enemies. That's not only thing salvation is. You can be delivered from sin, in which the other nations can partake, and you can be delivered from this evil world, because the world is evil, getting into more and more evil. The Gentiles can partake of being delivered from this evil world. Galatians 1 verse 4, who gave himself for our sins, that he might deliver us from this present evil world, according to the will of Allah and our Father. So Yahusha enables us to be delivered from this present evil world. The other nations can partake of this. All right? Now, wow, I'm trying to make this as short as possible. It has already 21 minutes. Please, the good things are laid up later. So in Isaiah 14:1 to 2, I am very sure we agree of how the Israelites will go into the kingdom. Isaiah 14:1. For Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Yasharal, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. So the strangers shall be joined. So the question is, how can you preach that they shall be saved? No, the strangers cannot go into the kingdom. The strangers cannot go into the kingdom, and they are not saved. Right? Because the word join there means properly to twine. That is by implication to unite. So how can you unite with someone who is an unbeliever? You cannot unite with someone who is an unbeliever. You cannot be twined together, united, to remain, also to borrow from obligation or to lend, to abide with, to cleave, to join self. So you cannot have people abiding with us and they are sinners. Those strangers who are going into the kingdom, they have to be righteous. And it says, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. What does cleave mean? The word cleave, properly to scrape out, but in certain peculiar senses of removal or association, abiding, gather together, cleave, put, smite to the scalp, gather together. So how can the strangers gather together to us and they are sinners? Imagine us gathering together for assembly, and you have these sinners with us. It's impossible. They also have to be believers. And this is capped by Amos 9:11 to 12, that tells us that we shall possess the remnant of Edom and all the heathen that are called by my name, that are called by Yahuwah's name. So Yahuwah is telling us that we will possess them. Let me get that verse before we go any further. It's Amos 9:11 to 12, to show you that believers will be possessed by the children of Yasharal of the other nations. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom, and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith Yahuwah that doeth this, that they may own the remnant of Edom, and of all the heathen which are called by my name. These are believers. Okay? So how can the strangers be joined with us and cleave to us and not be of the same ruach? Ephesians 4, verse 4 to 6. What we have to understand is that we will be one in ruach, but we will be separate as persons according to the promises that have been given unto us. Let me go first to the promises, Romans 9. According to the promises that have been given to us, this is the separation between us and the other nations. Verse 3, for I could wish that myself were accursed from Hamashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the splendor, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of Allah, and the promises. That's why there has to be a separation. Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Hamashiach came, who is over all, Alua Barak, forever, so be it. So it's because of the promises and all the things that have been given to Yasharal and not to any other nations why there has to be a separation. Because there is one Ruach. So we are going to be one in Ruach, but we are going to be separate as persons. Ephesians 4:4, there is one body and one Ruach, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling, one master, one faith, one baptism, one Alua and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. So there is one body, all of them together in one body, and one Ruach. But there are individuals within the body now because certain promises only belong to Yasharal. The promises, that is why the people shall take them, Yasharal shall take them, and they shall take them captive, whose captives they were, because these are the promises that are given to Yasharal. The other nations will not partake of that. So Amos 3:3, because we shall take them into the kingdom. Let's see what the book of Amos says about us going into the kingdom with them and them cleaving to us. Verse 3 says, can two walk except they be agreed? So how are they going to cleave with us? And how are we going to take them to our place if we don't agree? How do we agree to the one Ruach that is in us? They will also have salvation. That salvation comes through Ruach HaKadosh, through the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. They will be one with us in Ruach. But in the flesh, they are separate so that Yasharal can partake and receive the promises that were promised to them by Yahuwah. And also, those who led into captivity shall now go into captivity. It has to be turned around. 1 Corinthians 1, verse 10. Only hope you're staying with me. Only hope you're getting it. Verse 10. Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, and that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. Remember, they shall be joined to us when they enter into the kingdom. We have to be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. How do we do that? Through the one Ruach that is in us. Very simple. So even though we are saved, we will not all go altogether unpunished. This is another thing that we need to know. Even though we are saved, we do not go altogether unpunished. Likewise, it will be for them. So you are thinking they are going in. What kind of salvation is that? It's the same thing for us. The Most High declared unto us, even though we are saved, we will not go altogether unpunished. Jeremiah 30, verses 11 to 13. Jeremiah 30, verses 11 to 13. For I am with thee, saith Yahuwah, to save thee. This is salvation of Yahuwah. This is the salvation of Yahuwah. This is what you all need to understand. For I am with thee, saith Yahuwah, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. But I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. It's the same thing for the nations. He will save them, but he that leadeth into captivity has to go into captivity. That's it. You will not go altogether unpunished. For thus saith Yahuwah, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. So if our bruises are incurable, and our wounds are grievous, what about the other nations who have done so much atrocities against us? There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up, thou hast no healing medicines. So that's why they are going to go in the kingdom with us and will be punished. So the Gentiles also will be our servants and handmaids. We have to understand this. Isaiah 14:2. Let's go there first. The Ruach will be poured out on the Gentiles, servants and handmaids. We're going to show you. Isaiah 14:2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. This is us and the Gentiles. And the house of Yasharal shall possess them in the land of Yahuwah for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So we are going to take handmaids and servants. Now, where did we hear about servants and handmaids before? Joel 2:28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my ruach upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. So we have sons, we have daughters, we have old men, we have young men. These are Israelites. It says your, because in Joel 2:27, the very verse before that, he says that I am Yahuwah, your Alua, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. He declared himself as only the Alua of Yasharal. So when he says your daughters and your sons, he's speaking to Israelites. But when he's speaking about servants and handmaids, he's speaking about the Gentiles. And also upon the servants, and also, in addition to you, also upon the servants and upon the handmaids, upon the Gentiles, upon the strangers, in those days will I pour out my ruach. So how do you pour out your ruach on them if you're not going to be in one ruach? It's one ruach, and you're going to pour out your ruach on them. They are going to be saved. They're going to be of the same ruach. Otherwise, there will be confusion. Yahuwah is not the author of confusion, to be having his kingdom and to be polluting his kingdom with sinful Gentiles. No, these are Gentiles. These are heathens that are called by his name. They're going to be saved to get in. Anyway, so they must be righteous in order to enter with us. Because Matthew 5:20, he was speaking to Israelites here, but he said, for I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of Shamayim, the kingdom of Alua, it is called in other gospels. So our righteousness has to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. So how can there be unrighteous people going in there with us? How can non-Israelites be unrighteous? And our righteousness has to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. And they will be going there with us, joining together with us, uniting, entwined with us, cleaving unto us, gathered together to us, and they are going to be unrighteous. No. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. But with all thy getting, get understanding. The Hebrew Israelite way is through reasoning. They reason. Oh, so if it's such and such, what kind of a salvation is that? Is it we don't reason? Precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line upon line, here a little, there a little. That is how you get the truth. So how can they cleave to us if they are not saved? How can they cleave to us if they are not saved? If you look in the book of Daniel, when it's speaking about the end time fourth kingdom, it'll tell you how the kingdom cannot cleave together because they are not one. To cleave together, you have to be one. And how are we and the strangers going to be one? We are not one in body. Eh? We have different heritage. But we are going to be one in Ruach. Because the Most High is going to pour out of his Ruach upon all flesh. Daniel 2:41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as you sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. So we, being mixed with them, and spiritually we are totally off, we are righteous and they are sinners, how can we mix? Verse 42. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. It would have to be partly strong and partly broken if they are not one. It is the Ruach that unites us, Ruach HaKadosh, through Yahusha, or else the kingdom would be broken when we are entering in there with them cleaving to us. Daniel 2:43, let me continue. And whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. In Isaiah 14:2, it says they shall cleave to us. If we are not one in Ruach, we cannot cleave. Yes? We will not be able to cleave to us. So there has to be some point of unity, and that has to be the unity of the Ruach, unity of the Spirit. Right? They have to be saved. Okay? So the reality is that they will be saved, but saved to serve, as in the law covenant, and we're going to look at it. As in the time of the men of Gibeon, hewers of wood and drawers of water. So in reality, they will be saved, but saved to serve. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 10, because there is no new thing under the earth, and to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Yahuwah does not change. And let's see what he did previously, before we went into the land of Israel, the physical land of Israel. These are the words of the covenant which Yahuwah commanded Moses to make with the children of Yasharal in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. And this, of course, declares the covenants, that the covenants are two parts. You enter, and then you have to be saved in the end. You have to endure to the end to be saved. Let's continue. In verse 10, the Most High is declaring that other nations were there with the children of Yasharal. Ye stand this day, all of you, before Yahuwah, your Aluah, your captains of your tribes. Now, this is an order here, an order of authority. Your captains of your tribes. Then who comes next? Your elders and your officers, with all the men of Yasharal. So all of the men come before the women. Your little ones, even the little ones, come before the women. Strange, isn't it? Your wives and thy stranger that is in thy camp. The stranger is at the bottom. From the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water. So when you're going into the kingdom, they were going into the kingdom, there were strangers there who were there to serve them. Likewise, now it's the same thing that's going to happen again. But these strangers had to be a part of the covenant before they go in. They had to be saved before they go in. That thou shouldest enter into covenant with Yahuwah thy Aluah, and into his oath which Yahuwah thy Aluah maketh with thee this day, that they may establish thee today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto thee an Aluah, as he hath said unto thee, and as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Now the Most High is going to tell you that it's not only with the Israelites that I'm making this covenant. Neither with you only do I make this covenant unto this oath. But who else? But with him that standeth here with us this day before Yahuwah al-Uluah. These are the Gentiles, the hewers of woods and the waters of the jars of water. They have to make this covenant going in. It's the same thing in this covenant. Same thing repeated. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day, before Yahuwah our Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day. Yes? Also with anyone else who wants to come into the covenant. All right? So that's it, people. That's it. Only hope this makes it very clear that salvation is open to everyone. We cannot be in the kingdom. And the person asked, what kind of a salvation is this? All right, I think I had something else, but I think, so you may ask, will it truly be salvation? If you are slated for decimation, if you are slated to be destroyed, it has to be salvation. In the book of Obadiah, for example, let me show you what there for the Edomites. In the book of Obadiah, verse 17, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahuwah hath spoken it. So Esau needs deliverance out of this. Yes? Because there is slated destruction for them. But mercy triumphs over judgment, because if Esau comes out and Esau turns to the Most High and accepts the Prince of Peace, then Esau will be glad to serve instead of being destroyed. So don't believe that salvation is okay, salvation, everything is nice, everything. No. Their salvation is different from ours. Their salvation is to be saved from their destruction. That is their judgment. Okay? And the other one now, you were saying that Yahuwah's word shall not come back void. Yahuwah's word shall not come back void. His word has not come back void, but what has happened is that when people use that term, his word will not come back void, it does not mean that that sentence will come the way that you think it is. He says his ways is not your ways. So how do we know his ways? We have to use precept upon precept. So it's in matching the precept now. That is how his word will not come back void. You have to have understanding. It has to be understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. But with all that getting, get understanding. It is when you get understanding now, his word will not come back void, because you will understand what his word actually is. All right? So that is why we teach salvation for Gentiles. We just try to cram in everything we could. Be here for hours upon hours, giving proof upon proof. But only hope that this is enough. Let me know what you think about this. And please comment. And please make the comments civil, respectful, and please let the comments be on point according to what we're talking about. There are people who come on to the feeds and then they just going off onto something else and distracting and going on. No, Yahuwah is not the author of confusion. All right? He's not the author. He's not the causer of confusion. Okay? So let us stay on point and let us be respectful. And thank you all for your comments. And thank you all for watching and being here with us. And until next time, shalom.